So in the last half of Module 5, we are going to talk about triangles. So to start off, we're just going to review some information about triangles. So it is a figure with three sides whose angles add to 180 degrees. So that's the definition of a triangle. And there are two different ways you can classify triangles. The first one is based on the side lengths, and then you can also do angle measures. So you have an equilateral triangle, which is a triangle with all three sides the same length. You have a isosceles triangle, where you have at least two sides the same length. And then lastly, you have your scalene triangle, which is a triangle with no sides the same length. So that's how we can classify a triangle based on its side lengths. For angle measures, there are technically four, but one of them is a very special case. So the first one is an acute triangle, which is when all three angles are less than 90 degrees. You can have a right triangle, which is a triangle with one angle measuring 90 degrees. You can have an obtuse triangle, which is a triangle with one angle measuring more than 90 degrees. And then you can have something called an equiangular triangle, which is a triangle with all three angles measuring 60 degrees. So an equiangular triangle is a very special case of an acute triangle. So it's technically an equiangular triangle is acute, and it only happens when you have an equilateral triangle. So every equilateral triangle is also equiangular. So if all of the sides are the same length, so are all of the angles, and the angles specifically measure 60 degrees. So we can actually classify triangles based on both their side length and their angle measure. So they can be two things at once. So in our first triangle here, we have the side lengths are 9, 4, and 6, and we have an angle that is 110 degrees. So this is an example of an obtuse scalene triangle, because you have one angle more than 90 and all of your sides are different lengths. And when we classify a triangle based on its angle measures and side lengths, we usually put the angle first. On our next triangle, we have that its angles are 60, 80, and 40 degrees. So all of them are less than 60 degrees. And another interesting fact about triangles is if none of the angle measures are the same, none of the side lengths are the same. So this is an example of an acute scalene. The third one, we know all three sides are 5, and as I just went over, if all of the sides are the same, all of the angles are the same. So this is an equiangular slash equilateral triangle. We don't really classify it by both. This is the one case where we'll say one or the other. Typically, we'll just say it's an equilateral triangle if all I'm giving is the side lengths, and if the only thing I know are the angles, then we say equiangular, but it is technically both. Okay, and then for our last one, we have an angle with 97, 70, and 13 degrees. And the little tick marks indicate that all of our sides are different lengths. If any of the tick marks had been the same, we would have had sides the same length. So we do have an angle greater than 90 degrees, so it is obtuse. And then it is also scalene, because none of the sides are the same length. Okay. So last thing we're going to talk about is naming triangles. So triangles are named by their vertices. So vertices are the corners, basically, of your triangle. And you can start at any point and go in any order as long as you are going in the same direction. And the nice thing is, because there's only three sides, no matter which way you go, It's not like you're going to accidentally skip a side and not go in the correct order. So we're going to name the triangles from our previous example. So we use a little triangle symbol to say that we're talking about a triangle, and then I can pick any starting point. So I'm just going to call this triangle ABC. I could also call it triangle ACB, BCA, BAC, CAB, or CBA. There's 6 ways to name this triangle. There's not just one correct way. And it's going to work the same way for all of the triangles we do. There are 6 ways to name a triangle. For our next 3 examples, I don't have any letters, so I'm just going to make up some letters, D, F, M. So I'm going to name my triangle D, F, M. My next one, we'll do T, Y, R. So it'll be triangle, let's do Y, R, T. So again, didn't matter which one I started with, as long as I put it in order. And the last one, let's do W, H, L. So it'll be triangle, let's do H, L, W. So there you go. That's how you name a triangle. It's very easy. So let me know if you have any questions about classifying a triangle or naming a triangle.